Sweet. Looks like I'm live. Hi, everyone. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Super excited to talk to you about immune health. As those of you who do know me and see my content in the group, for those of you that don't, my name is Brittany. I'm a holistic nutritionist. I am owner of Fresh and Fit Nutrition and one of the admins of this amazing, amazing community. And I know that we get lots of questions all the time asking about the immune system and what you can do to help with certain things that are being spread around right now, or just keep it strong so that you are guarded. So I'm really excited to share this with you today. If you are here live, say hello, drop me a hashtag live. I am just going to take a couple minutes to tag a few people that did want to attend. So while I'm doing this, drop in the comments below, what things that you're worried about with your immune system, or maybe some things that help you keep your immune system strong. I always love hearing new things and what people are using. Hi, Beverly. Hope you are doing well. I'm really excited to talk about this because I know that this is such a huge topic. This is just going to take me a minute. I wish we had that awesome little @everyone in this group, but the group is too big, so it doesn't do it. And then of course I have my issues with technology, so it never lets me stream into the event. So when people are looking for the video, just so all of you know to look at to just go into the group and just scroll anytime that we have an event, and you can't find it in the event, just go to the group and look there, because then you'll be able to find it. All right, do one more and then we'll get started. Hello, Tobias. All right. Tobias is watching, by the way. If anybody needs a good quality fish oil, Tobias has amazing products in Zeno that I really love taking, and omega-3s are great for inflammation and health and so many other things, brain health. So if you're in need of a good fish oil, make sure to message Tobias. Awesome. Glad you are doing good, Beverly. So let me pull up my notes here and then we will get started. Let me know if you can see my screen. So I won't be able to see the comments once I do this, but feel free to ask any questions in the comments. And then once I'm kind of done with the presentation, I'll go back through and I will answer any of those that you guys have. And if you're watching the replay, say hashtag replay, and feel free to drop your questions there as well. And then I will come back over the next few days and just answer anything. And also, if you stay to the end, I have a special gift for you. I have an immune health guide with lots of valuable content and one of my favorite immune boosting recipes in there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So should be good here. All right, I think you guys should all be able to see that now. So strengthening immune health. So we really want to support our immune system. And the biggest component of that is making sure that we have good gut health. And there are lots and lots of questions every day on the gut that we get in the group. And about 70 to 80% of our immune system resides in our gut. So it's very important to make sure that we have a strong gut, that we don't have things like dysbiosis or bad bacteria overgrowth, parasites, yeast, mold, things like that in our gut, because that is going to weaken our immune system. So kind of what we're going to discuss. So I'm just going to discuss the immune system, kind of give you an overview because it is a whole system within our bodies and there's lots of different components. Then I'm going to talk about gut health and the immune connection. I'm going to touch on autoimmunity. Then we're going to go into factors that hinder immunity, factors that support immunity, the role of these healthy lifestyle habits like exercise, sleep, and stress management on immune health. And then I'm going to cover some supplements to support the immune system. So a little bit about me. I kind of already did that, but I am also a certified immune health specialist. So know lots about the immune system. My primary focus, like I said, is gut health and working with autoimmune disorders. So the immune system plays a big role in that. So it's not a single entity, but it's a whole system like everything else in our body. So to function properly, it requires balance, harmony, and healthy lifestyle choices. You know, it does an amazing job of defending against disease-causing microorganisms. However, there are sometimes a germ invades successfully and can make us sick. I mean, even the healthiest of people occasionally will get sick. So it may be impossible to completely avoid getting sick altogether, but what we can do is we can implement some healthy living strategies to guard ourselves the best we can. So what is the immune system? It is a complex network of cells, tissues, and organs that work together to protect the body from foreign invaders like these bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungi, and other toxins. And our immune system has an amazing ability to distinguish between normal, healthy cells and abnormal, unhealthy cells by recognizing certain signals within the body. And when these signals occur, the immune system responds to the problem. Now, if an immune response cannot be activated when there is a need, it can lead to an infection. On the other hand, when an immune response is activated without an actual threat or isn't turned off once the danger has passed, different issues arise, such as allergic reactions and eventually like autoimmune disorders. So let's go into components. So white blood cells, basically they search for, attack, and destroy harmful bacteria and viruses in order to keep us healthy. They're a key part of our immune defense, and there are many different types. The different types either circulate in the bloodstream and throughout the body or reside in a certain tissue, ready to spring into action when they are needed. Each cell type has a specific mission and a different way of discovering a problem. They also have different ways of communicating with other cells and performing their particular function. Then we have lymph nodes. So these are small glands that filter and destroy germs so they cannot spread throughout the body, causing illness. They're also part of our body's lymphatic system. And these nodes contain certain immune cells that analyze foreign invaders and then activate, replicate, and send these specific white blood cells, the lymphocytes, to fight off that particular invader. There are hundreds of lymph nodes all throughout the body. Say we have them like in our neck here, our armpits, our groin area. You'll notice, like, if you ever get, when your body's trying to fight something off, this area, like right here, will get swollen. That's your lymph nodes working. That is your body's immune system mounting a defense to something that is trying to make you sick. Then we have the spleen, which a lot of people like, do we even need that? What does it do? It's actually part of the lymphatic system. It's located on the left side, just above the stomach. It stores white blood cells that defend our body from those foreign invaders. It also helps filter the blood and destroys old and damaged red blood cells. Tonsils and adenoids, those are located in the throat and the nasal passages. And they basically trap bacteria and viruses as soon as they enter the body. They have immune cells as well that produce antibodies to protect us from those invaders that cause throat and lung infections. The thymus is a small organ beneath the breastbone in the upper chest. Its function is to learn and recognize and remember an invader so that an attack can swiftly occur the next time that invader is encountered. Bone marrow, which is that spongy center of our long bones, that has stem cells that develop into red blood cells, plasma cells, and a variety of immune cells. Billions of new blood cells are made in the bone marrow every day and released into the bloodstream. We have our skin, mucous membranes, and other first-line defenses. So those are going to be like, boom, right? Like our skin is protecting us. These mucous membranes, they are protecting us, trying to keep anything that is not supposed to be in our bodies out. The skin is our first line of defense, preventing and destroying those germs before they enter the body. We have oil and like other protective immune cells that are produced and secreted by the skin. Then we have mucous membranes that line our respiratory, our digestive, our urinary, and reproductive tracts. Those membranes secrete mucus that lubricates and moistens surfaces. And in the respiratory tract, what will happen is germs stick to the mucus and then are moved out of airways by our cilia, which are like these little like hair-like things that kind of like brush stuff out. Then in the nose, we have those tiny hairs, like all our little nose hairs. I know some, like as we age, they get a lot thicker and bigger. I don't know what the reason is for that. But if you've ever seen those old men like trimming their nose hairs, but we really like need those hairs, right? Like that's our body's line of defense, like preventing something from like coming in, preventing us from breathing in something that we shouldn't be breathing in. And then we have our digestive tract. So stomach acid, having adequate hydrochloric acid in our stomach is going to kill off a lot of that bad bacteria that enters our body. There are also beneficial bacteria in our small and large intestine that kill the bad guys, right? And the microbiome plays a big role in the immune defense. So about 80% of our immune system cells reside in our gut. So like I said, really important to keep the gut healthy in order to do this. But what happens, right, is we're exposed to toxins, chemicals, stress, all of these things that create leaky gut. And then it's like this cascade. We have all this inflammation. Then we have low stomach acid. We're not properly breaking down these foods and we get these gut infections like H. pylori that cause all these other issues that allow the bad bugs to overgrow. And then it's like this big old problem, right? And it's messing with our digestive system and our immune system. So we have 3 types of immunity. So innate immunity is like what we're born with. And our immune system changes as we age. This innate immunity goes into action right away when it detects a foreign invader. And as young children, our immune system is still developing. That's why kids are like sick all the time, right? Because their body hasn't like recognized this particular like bacteria or virus yet. So pretty much everything they come into contact with, they get sick from, but that's really good though, because we want our bodies to mount that response. We want our bodies to be exposed to lots of different things when we're younger so that our immune system can grow and build and get strong. So, as adults, it continues to learn from all of these things that we encounter. And then adaptive immunity, that's basically like what is developing throughout our life. This is what these antibodies are produced so that they can protect our body from that specific invader again. Then we have passive immunity. That is a short-term response. So an example would be getting jabbed with something that provides antibodies or lymphocytes against like a specific thing. So these inoculations, I'm not talking about the most recent one that's all over the place right now. I'm talking more about like something like polio or, in those cases. So that's what passive immunity is. So gut health and the immune connection. So bacteria live throughout our body, but the ones in our gut definitely have the biggest impact on our well-being. They line our entire digestive system and affect everything from our metabolism to our mood to our immune system. Our gut is responsible for breaking down food, absorbing nutrients that support our body's functions, from energy production to hormone balance, skin health, mental health, and even toxin and waste elimination. There are 300 to 500 different kinds of bacteria containing nearly 2 million genes living inside our gut. The mix of bacteria in your body is different from my body, is different. It's just like a fingerprint, right? Like everybody has a unique fingerprint. Everybody has a unique microbiome. And it's determined partly by our mother's microbiome, so the environment that we're exposed to at birth, and then partly by our diet and lifestyle. So, very similar to that immunity, right? It kind of based on our environment, based on our habits, based on our food choices, all of these things, it's going to change as we age. And they've done lots of studies. So babies like born via C-section, babies formula fed instead of breastfed, they have, higher chances of asthma, food allergies, poor gut health, all of these things. So, it's really important for us and our children that we have a good microbiome. So vaginal births, those babies are able to get all of that from the mother. Then they're able to get those immune cells as well from the breast milk. So that really sets them up better for success to fight off these things and have a strong immune system as they age. I know that's not always possible, and things happen, but that's just what the research shows. It is much better for the babies when they can be born vaginally and when they are breastfed. So anyways, so foods that help support our gut. So coconut oil is very good for the gut health, and you can just eat this like with a spoonful if you're down for that. You can gargle it in your mouth like some oil pulling. You can kill pathogens naturally in your mouth using coconut oil. So it has lauric and caprylic acids, which are fatty acids that are very incredible at killing off harmful yeast and bacteria, while also being able to restore our stomach's acidity levels. So a lot of us have low stomach acid. So if you are like unable to break down like protein, you're like, oh, I can't really do meat, my stomach doesn't let you, probably have low stomach acid. If you are on a PPI or you are on anything like that, you have stomach acid. If you're experiencing heartburn, you probably already have low stomach acid, and then they're going to give you a PPI or H2 blocker that's going to make your stomach acid even lower, putting you at higher risk for getting things like H. pylori, dysbiosis, all of these, poor digestive health outcomes. Cloves and cinnamon. So we want to cook with these spices or adding them to a drink because they naturally kill microbes that are wreaking havoc on our system. There are so many beneficial like herbs, like you guys, like food is medicine. Food is medicine, like these fresh herbs, like these, you want to grind them fresh because they're more potent that way. But these can help so many things. This can get rid of like bad bacteria and yeast overgrowth and all of these things. Turmeric that has curcumin in it, which is a powerful anti-inflammatory, really good for like joints and just overall health. It's got great antioxidant properties. Most studies with turmeric used extracts that are standardized to include those large amounts of curcumin. So if you're like supplementing with it as opposed to just using it fresh on your food, make sure that you're getting like a high dose of that curcumin in the supplement. And it's also good to have pepperine in addition in that supplement as well. And if you're cooking with turmeric, use some black pepper, because what it does is it increases the bioavailability of that curcumin so that our body is able to absorb more of it. Apple cider vinegar. So that really helps our body to create hydrochloric acid in our gut. That's going to help us digest our foods properly and fight off those bad guys that are trying to come in. And we have like fermented foods, right? Like sauerkraut, kefir, yogurt, these things all have good bacteria in them that can help us. If you can't do dairy, There are dairy-free alternatives that are still fermented. But with fermented foods, you do want to be careful, because if you do have a bad bacterial overgrowth already, or if you have like issues with histamines, which means you have some issues with your bad gut bacteria, that's different class, but these fermented foods can possibly make it worse. So if you're already struggling with a lot of like gut health issues, adding in fermented foods is not always the best idea. So it's really important to like work with someone who knows what they're doing so that they can create a customized protocol for you. Because if you go eat like a bunch of sauerkraut and then you feel terrible later, that's likely because the good bugs from the fermented foods are fighting all these like bad bugs in your gut, and it can make you not feel so great. So be really careful with that. Almonds are really high in fiber and full of fatty acids and polyphenols, which make them really great for gut health. Our good gut bugs love those polyphenols. They love like the fresh, all those like nutrients. So anything from like bright, colorful vegetables, fruits, going to be really beneficial for the gut. Brussels sprouts, they contain the kind of fiber that the good bacteria like, plus sulfur compounds that help combat unhealthy bacteria like H. pylori. Ginger, not only great for like nausea, but it helps the production of stomach acid and stimulates the digestive system to keep moving food through the gut. That's a big problem for a lot of people too, is that peristalsis slows down. It doesn't work properly. We get constipated, we get bloated. We just don't feel good, right? Garlic, powerful antimicrobial, powerful antibacterial, antifungal. It definitely helps keep the bad gut bacteria under control and helps balance yeast in the gut. Again, depending on where your gut health is, you might not be able to do garlic very much. If anybody's heard of like a low FODMAP diet, FODMAPs can bother people. This is really, all these are like things that are generally good for gut health, but really this is so customized, you guys. Like every single person is different. Every client that I have is different. They have different things that they can have. There's not like one blanket diet that is going to work for everyone. These are just generally foods that are going to support gut health, but you are an individual and I don't know your health history. So keep that in mind. Don't be like, oh, I ate sauerkraut. Brittany was so wrong. I feel horrible. All right. So nutrition can't make us immune. Even a very healthy and nutritious diet full of fruits and vegetables will not prevent us from getting infected with a pathogenic virus or bacteria. However, consuming nutrients that support the immune system can help us fight a pathogenic virus or bacteria more efficiently and faster. And I will say that is 100% true, because last year for Christmas, I got C for Christmas. It was a super great gift from my little brother. We went back home to visit my parents, and everybody else in the house got sick, including my daughter, except me. But then I had to drive in a car 9 hours with my sick kid. And so of course, like I ended up catching it, but I was sick for about 4 days, pretty mild, other than the post-viral brain fog. That was absolutely awful and worse than anything I've experienced before. But for the most part, like I was okay. I bounced back really fast. I took, some of the supplements that I'm going to talk about later in this presentation and that are in the immune health guide that I'm going to drop in the comments below after this is over. But everybody else was sick for weeks. Like when we left my parents, like they were still sick 10 days later, so it really makes a difference, like where your gut health's at and, how it's not going to stop you completely from getting sick, but you're going to bounce back a lot better. You're going to feel a lot better. Your symptoms are not going to be as bad as people who aren't starting off in a healthy space. So touching on autoimmunity here a little bit. So basically that can occur when the immune system gets out of balance, causing it to not only fail to properly protect the body, but instead cause it to attack the body by mistaking the self cells for invading pathogens. And this allows for the potential for more debilitating autoimmune diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. An overactive immune system isn't good because that leads to allergies and autoimmunity, but a compromised immune system isn't good either because that leads to getting infections and illnesses easily. So really, we want to make sure that our gut is super strong, make sure that we're eating the proper foods, make sure that we don't have these bad bacteria overgrowth, that we are not dealing with like mold, candida overgrowth, that H. pylori, these different gut infections. We really want to start from a strong place, make sure that our gut health is good so that we can calm down our immune system and then it doesn't begin to attack our body's own tissues. Factors that hinder immunity. So malnutrition. So this does not necessarily mean someone that is super skinny and starving. You can be obese and be malnourished because you're eating garbage food, processed food that does not have nutrients in it. Your body is not nourished, yet you are, 100 pounds overweight. So I know when I say malnutrition, most people think like the starving kids in Africa, right? Like that's not always the case. You can be very much overweight and still be malnourished because your body doesn't have the proper nutrients. It's missing the vitamins, the minerals, all those things that your body needs to function properly. Chronic conditions. So, intestinal inflammation, leaky gut, heart disease, diabetes, all of these things can, contribute to poor immunity. Obesity. So we saw this, right? These high risk factors for the thing that's been going on for the last 3 years. What was the main risk factor? Obesity, right? Basically, it results in a poor initial response to a pathogen. In addition, it leads to impaired immune cell proliferation, diversity, and functioning. So really puts you at a weakened state to protect your immune system. So really important to be at a healthy weight. And unfortunately now, 3/4 of the US population are overweight or obese. I think it's about, what did I read yesterday? It was 43 or 48%, somewhere around there, are actually obese. This is not good, you guys. This is killing us. I mean, it's literally like killing us. So we really have got to, get ourselves in shape, start nourishing our bodies, make sure that we're eating proper, real, whole, one ingredient foods, taking care of our health, getting exercise, getting sunlight, doing the things that we know promotes health and a strong immune system. Poor diet. So, over 60% of the US population's diet comes from not just processed food, but highly processed food, you guys. Like the 3 B's, we really need to avoid them as much as possible. Boxes, bags, and barcodes. That stuff is not real food. That is not serving our body. That is not nourishing our bodies. We need things like fruits, vegetables, quality protein sources, healthy fats, nuts, seeds, things like that. We need to avoid this like garbage processed food. Anything in the middle of the store in the aisles is not really going to benefit you for the most part. Okay. Caloric restriction again. So this could be, eating disorder, things like that. Because you're going to decrease the production of lymphocytes. Then we have dysbiosis. So that's that imbalance that I've been talking about of the gut microbiome. This hinders the immune system function because those infectious bacteria overload the immune system. I have a severe caloric restriction on here twice. Oops. The other one is supposed to be alcohol consumption. So that weakens the body's immune system and undermines the body's ability to cope with infectious diseases. Excessive intake can reduce the function and production of important immune cells. I'm all about the occasional drink or whatever. As I'm aging, I'm starting to realize though that like alcohol does not serve my body. And I think that I might just like quit altogether, maybe have an occasional glass of wine every now and then. But even when I do that now, I don't feel good. We really have to like listen to our bodies. It's okay in moderation, but it really it is a poison and it's a toxin to our liver. And our livers are already overburdened because we're exposed to all kinds of other toxins in our environment all the time. Then we have excessive salt consumption. So that may reduce the ability of our immune cells to protect us from these pathogenic infections. Things that support immunity. So quality protein, we want to have like grass-fed beef, organic things, pasture raised, wild caught as much as possible. Get these like good quality proteins, lots of fiber from fruits and vegetables, omega-3 fatty acids, Micronutrients, so those vitamins, those minerals, those things that come from real food. And then we want to make sure that, we fill in the gaps with the supplementing when necessary with high quality supplements. Phytochemicals, so all those colorful foods, that's what we're getting that the gut bugs love. Probiotics, prebiotics. Now, I will not recommend just starting to take a probiotic food. It totally depends on where your gut's at. And the more we learn about the gut, the more we learn about these different strains and how they benefit different things. So it's really important to keep in mind, like taking like a full spectrum probiotic may not best serve you. Like, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? Do you have gut health issues already? Again, like I mentioned with like the fermented foods earlier, if you just throw a probiotic and you're already having all these gut health issues and you have this bad bacterial overgrowth and you just throw a probiotic in there, it can make things a lot worse because then they're fighting. And you won't feel good. So you really want to be careful when it comes to probiotics. And I think it like kind of got like this thing like, oh, take a probiotic. And it was like this marketing, thing, and they kind of blew up. And yes, they are beneficial. And yes, there's a place for them, but there are certain strains that are specific to certain things. So we really need to keep that in mind. Those are very personalized as well. Prebiotics coming from the fiber from the food. So exercise, sleep, and stress, lifestyle factors, these influence our immune system function. We really need regular physical activity, getting sufficient good quality sleep. Those are so important for our immune system. Chronic stress can impair our immune system function. It causes the dysregulation of hormones that impair immune cell proliferation, repair, and functioning. Not only is a proper diet filled with nutritious foods important to maintaining the health of our immune system, these other factors are equally as important. So, we really want to make sure that we are taking care of all things. We cannot supplement ourselves out of, that thing. Exercise has tons of good benefits. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but, it helps with weight loss. It strengthens our muscles, increases energy levels, helps us relax, sleep better. Lots of things proven to help us live longer. We all know that we need to get more exercise, right? Sleep balances hormones, moods, energy levels. It is our reset process. So it's really important, to get adequate sleep so that we're repairing our body properly. Stress, got to manage our stress. It is a stressful time. A lot of stuff going on in the world. You got to remember what you can control. You can control your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs, what you put into your body. So try some of these stress relieving activities: journaling, meditation, yoga, outside, get outside in the sunlight. That's going to help your immune system, your pets, gratitude. All of these things can really help you manage stress. There's no shortage of things you can do to manage your stress. It's just carving out that time, making it a priority to do that for yourself. And that will help with your immune system. All right, so some supplements. Now, we cannot supplement ourselves out of a healthy diet. So that's where we want to focus first. We want to make sure that we are eating properly, eating healthy diet, that we are doing those lifestyle factors, managing our stress, exercise, sleep, all of those things. But then we can do some supplementation as well to help support our immune system. So these are some of my favorite things to support the immune system. Elderberry, most people know about elderberry syrup, really good for the immune system, used as a remedy for colds, flus, sinus infections. Quercetin and NAC, we've heard a lot about those recently. Quercetin is found in a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. NAC helps activate glutathione, which is our body's main antioxidant. So really important to have that precursor of glutathione in our bodies. Colloidal silver is great for immune health. Turmeric, holy basil, oregano oil, andrographis, medicinal mushrooms as well. So with oregano oil, like that contains these phenols and these terpenes and terpenoids, and they have powerful antioxidant properties and are responsible for their fragrance. So it's oregano oil is very strong fragrance. Medicinal mushrooms. So those have been used for very, very, very long time. And there are over 270 recognized species of medicinal mushrooms that are known to have immune enhancing properties. Cordyceps, lion's mane, maitake, shiitake, reishi, and turkey tail are all types that have been shown to benefit immune health. Licorice root, that's also good for gut health, good for inflammation, and it helps, it has antiviral effects. Echinacea, all heard that is beneficial for the immune system. Acai berry, it's a very potent antioxidant. Propolis, it's like a resin from the bee pollen. You will see, and I know one of our practitioners, Megan, posted earlier in the week, she went up to Sedona, which is just a couple hours away from us here, and they put like this propolis on their smoothies up in Sedona. Really good for your immune system. You can usually get them at like a, like here I go to Natural Grocers, like a health food store, and they'll like sell it in a little bag or container. Garlic, like I mentioned before, astragalus, also really beneficial. And then there's vitamin D. So super important when we look at all these statistics with the C, we saw that people who had adequate vitamin D levels over 50 were not hospitalized, were not put in ICU or anything like that. So really important to make sure, depending on where you're at, I'm very blessed here in Arizona. I can still go outside right now and, you know, get some vitamin D. So in the winter, if you are somewhere where you are unable to get enough sunlight, you really want to make sure that you are supplementing with a good, high quality vitamin D product. It is so important. It's more than just a vitamin, it's actually a hormone. And basically every tissue and cell in the body has a vitamin D receptor. So that should tell you how important it is. So definitely make sure that we're getting adequate vitamin D. I think that is it. All right, so let me get back to my screen. Let me see if you guys have any questions. All right, cool. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Let me know on here, and I'm going to drop the link real quick to the immune health guide. So if you guys want a copy of that, you can download it here. Let me find it real quick. And this is going to, so this immune health guide covers just more in depth kind of what I just talked about. And then also there are some protocols for that certain thing that can help you, that come from frontline doctors. And there's a couple different protocols in there that you can find if you are struggling with that particular issue right now. What I want to say too, just in closing, is like the media, the news, like all of this stuff, they're trying, one of the things that weakens our immune system is fear. God says in the Bible over 30 times, like, don't have fear. These things, viruses, but pathogens, all of this stuff, we've been living with it for a very long time. If we do the things that we need to do to keep ourselves healthy, we are better equipped to fight these things off. So don't fall into the trap of the fear and the trifecta now that they're talking about, you know, with these things going on. You know, like our bodies have an amazing ability to protect themselves and to defend when we give them the proper nutrients. So getting rid of fear and stress. So if that means turning off the news for you, do that, because that will not only help your mood, your mental health, but it'll help support your immune system too. So I really hope that was helpful, you guys. Please feel free to, you know, message me with any questions. Oh, you're so welcome, Kylie. I hope that you enjoyed that. And you guys have a great rest of your week. If you're interested, later this evening in my other Facebook group, I'm going to be talking about food addiction and what corporations are doing to make us addicted to food. So feel free. You can shoot me a message if you want an invite to that. I'll probably post the replay in the group tomorrow as well. So guys, have a great rest of your night. Stay safe, stay healthy. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.